Happy New Year, and welcome to the first Freedom from Fire of 2024. As always, we'll get a glimpse into the Philadelphia Fire Department and how you can keep yourself and your family safe. Also, we'll talk about how we operate. Today, we are chatting with Acting Fire Commissioner Craig Murphy. Commissioner may be a new role for him, but he's definitely not new to the PFD. We'll learn about Commissioner Murphy's accomplished career and how he's helped shape the department we know today. Stay here, Freedom from Fire is up next. Hello, and welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, firefighter Camila Bayete-Taylor. I'm currently stationed in our department's Fire Prevention and Code Division, where community risk reduction efforts are a primary goal. Here at Freedom from Fire, we aim to improve your quality of living by giving you fire and life safety information. We also introduce you to our local safety partners and department leaders. Today, we're joined by someone who's no stranger to Freedom from Fire. He used to host the show. Commissioner Craig Murphy, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so how has the show changed since you were here last?
Well, we just spoke about this off camera. It changed because normally this was a show that either a deputy commissioner did or the commissioner his or herself. And as our previous conversation went, I thought it kind of shined a light on us that wasn't really necessary because we're already in the public eye, and I was overwhelmed once I realized that it really wasn't our responsibility anymore. And the way it's changed now is you're the change, and I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, some folks have a skill set that isn't always realized. And then, I realized your skill set when we did the tree cutting ceremony at fire headquarters, and you could talk in front of the camera. That's huge, and I'm glad that the Commissioner Thiel, former Commissioner Thiel, authorized it, and I'm glad that I'm here talking to you today.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that, and I'm glad to be talking to you as well. Mm-hmm. All right, so the last time you were here, or first time you were here, you were Deputy Commissioner, all right?
So
last time you hosted the show, you were Deputy Commissioner?
Yes.
Yes, all right. Then you became first Deputy Commissioner.
Yes.
Now you are the Acting Fire Commissioner.
Yes.
All right, so tell us about your professional journey.
Whoa, okay, so I've been on the fire department for 37 years. This is my 37th year. And, it actually started in my living room listening to WDAS radio. And they announced on WDAS radio that the fire department was hiring, and this was in 1984. Mm-hmm. And I think I was 22 at the time, mm-hmm. And I listened, and I jotted the number down, and I made the phone call. So once I went through the process of calling, setting up, I think they had a recruitment effort that numbered over 10,000 people. Wow. They were really pushing hard to get minorities, women. They were pushing hard to get to change the demographic a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I was. They had a 2-year hiring freeze because the city was in financial, I guess you would call it discord, mm-hmm. And. I had to wait. So during that wait time, the scores came out. And I ended up doing pretty well on the test. And then I was a veteran from the United States Air Force, and I got veteran points. So once they lifted the hiring freeze in 1987, I was hired. So that was the start of the career, and I've been fortunate to, work at some. That's when I was brand new right there. It was when I came out of the academy. Initially, I went to a very, very quote unquote good spot, and it was Engine 19 at Shelton and Baton in Germantown. And at the time, I thought it was the greatest spot in the world, but the city was still in financial hardship, so they ended up closing firehouses in 1988, and I was placed because we were the last hired, first laid off. I was due to get laid off, so the layoffs went all the way up to like the Friday before we were supposed to get laid off. Over that weekend, City Council okayed a deal for offering people due to retire a year free if they went ahead and retired, and it saved me from getting laid off. Saved my whole class from getting laid off. Yeah, so I was at Engine 19, and then the problem with them closing firehouses, we didn't get laid off, but we got transferred because for like 3 days we were assigned to fire headquarters payroll because they were due to lay us off. So we had lost our positions because all the firehouses they closed, they moved those people into our spots. Yep. So I went to Engine 43, which was really kind of like the best move that I made because I met former Commissioner Lloyd Ayers when I was there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
and he was acting Battalion 5. He was a captain at the time. And he ended up seeing my initiative back then and got me transferred to Ladder 12. And then that's when the career went, So I spent like 7 years at Ladder 12, and then I did, somebody asked me to come to Heavy Rescue 1. And I said, okay. At first I fought kicking and screaming. I didn't want to go. But finally I changed my mind and I said yes. And I went to Rescue 1, and I stayed at Rescue 1 pretty much for the next 16 years. As a firefighter, as a lieutenant, and as the captain. So I had a brief period where I had went to Engine 47 after I made lieutenant. And then as soon as there was an opening in Rescue 1, I got back to Rescue 1. So special operations is like the core of my background. But it's been an exciting career. In 2010, the special operations chief for the fire department retired and went on to FEMA in Washington. And Commissioner Ayers asked me, I was a captain at the time, he said, why don't you fill in that spot until we find somebody who we can put there permanently. So 2010 is when I went into staff, and I've been there ever since. And then I just made rank and rank and rank and rank. And then, like you said earlier, I was acting commissioner. I was CAR 4, which was deputy commissioner, 2 stars, and then I was first deputy commissioner, 3 stars, and I've been fortunate enough to be in the position I'm in now.
Wow, it's an amazing career. An amazing career that you've had. So you mentioned former Commissioner Ayers a couple of times.
Yes.
And I did see, I got a chance to take a look at when you were appointed to acting fire commissioner.
Yes.
And you mentioned how he was very helpful, very instrumental in your preparation for the oral exam, which is the second step of the firefighter promotional examination.
Yep.
Can you talk about that a little bit? And more so, like, can you touch on the Craig Murphy of 37 years ago? And did you ever envision being in the seat you are now as acting fire commissioner? And is that something, and if not, is that something that when you got a few years on the job, you thought maybe that could be something for me?
So, that's a great question. Never. So I've only had one goal since I came on the fire department, and that was to be the best firefighter I could be. When I was really younger, people who knew me when I first came on the fire department could tell you I was a little wild, and I was, but I was also really young. and I sit and talk to a couple of my colleagues, and we talk about when we were firefighters, because there's some folks I work with that we were firefighters in the same firehouse. Mm-hmm. So I talked to them and I said, who would have ever thought when we were sitting at Park in Cambria on the roof of Engine 50 Ladder 12 that we would be, 20 years later, we would be here. Mm-hmm. We would be here, pretty much running the department, mm-hmm. And no, it was never in my, like I said, at each level, I just wanted to be proficient at what I did. So once I went to Rescue 1, there was a point in my career where I had enrolled in Temple and I was going to get my physical therapist's license. I was getting ready to leave the fire department. I was. So Lloyd Ayers helped with that. That's what happened. He could see, like I was getting bored. I was, and I was already enrolled in Temple, and sorry, LaSalle. I was already enrolled in Temple, and when I was in class the morning that 9/11 happened, right? Wow. And I was in class the morning that it happened. The night that it happened, I was on the pile in New York working to find folks. And that's that picture right there. The picture, me in the middle, that was the team that we were. That was ground zero. So we worked ground zero for like 11 days. During that time, I started thinking, I was put in a position of leadership at that scene. Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, I started thinking about why would I leave this when, others think I can lead. Why would I leave? Mm-hmm. Why would I leave this? Mm-hmm. So when I got back, I gave Commissioner Ayers a call. And I told him, I said, I'm thinking about studying for lieutenant. And Commissioner Ayers started laughing. And then he's like, I knew it was only a matter of time. That's what he said. And then, that's when I got my notification that I had passed the written. And then he said, come on up to the house. And then that's what happened. He set up a camera in his basement, and he actually had a mock oral. And he said, I'm going to film you because I'm going to show you all the mistakes you're making that you don't even realize right now. And then that's what happened. So I was sitting there, I was rubbing my knees, I was rocking in the chair, I was moving around like this. Wow. I was talking with my hands like that. And he said, no. Now we'll perfect that. And then when you get in there, he said, you'll shine like new money. So.
All right. Well, we're going to take a short break, but when we return, we'll continue our conversation with Commissioner Murphy. Stay tuned for more Freedom from Fire.
As birthplace to the first volunteer fire companies, Philadelphia is home to one of the nation's premier fire museums. Fireman's Hall Museum displays the city's fire history in addition to promoting fire safety. You can visit Fireman's Hall Museum in Old City at 147 North 2nd Street. Visit firemanshallmuseum.org to learn more, or watch the museum's show, Curator's Corner, on LaSalle TV.
Think buying fake products is harmless? Think again. Counterfeits are made in unsafe conditions, potentially using hazardous and even lethal ingredients that could harm you and others. Each year, billions of dollars worth of counterfeit products are sold in the U.S. I smell big crime. Think about it. If you don't know where the products came from, how could you know where the money goes? You're smart. Buy smart. Go for real.
Did you know that listening to music, enjoying art, or simply holding hands can boost your cognition? Trying new foods, making friends, and being curious helps too. Just like me, you want to maintain your brain health for as long as possible. I'd like to share with you insights that can make a difference. I'm Kevin Jameson, President of the Dementia Society of America. I'm excited to offer you our free guide. Inside, you'll find 10 building blocks to better brain health, along with facts about dementia, care planning, and how experts make a diagnosis. You'll learn what dementia is and isn't. The Dementia Society of America is a nonprofit organization, and we are ready to answer your questions. Get your free copy of the guide by visiting 1-800-DEMENTIA.org or by calling 1-800-DEMENTIA. You want to live life to the fullest? I do too, and I'm confident that our free guide can help.
Welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, firefighter Camila Bayete-Taylor. Today we're joined by Commissioner Craig Murphy, the recently appointed acting fire commissioner. So Commissioner Murphy, before the break we were talking about the many roles you played in the PFD.
Sure.
But I'd like to talk specifically about Pennsylvania Task Force 1.
Okay.
For those who aren't familiar, can you give us a little more, an overview of what PA Task Force 1 is?
Sure. So PA Task Force 1 is one of 28 urban search and rescue task forces. Be it a man-made disaster or be it a natural disaster, when tragedy strikes, people need help. So FEMA saw that at the beginning. I'm talking about in the mid 90s. No, it was a little. Yeah, it was about the mid. No, it was like the early 90s, late 80s, and what they petitioned Congress. Now, FEMA itself was around. No, FEMA itself was around, but there was no Department of Homeland Security over FEMA. So FEMA was like just budding, right? And what ended up happening is Congress approved certain task forces for what they call certain tier cities. Like Philadelphia is a tier city. It's like a tier 1 city. And really what that means is that, our infrastructure, we had a refinery within our infrastructure, we had a rail line that ran along the Northeast Corridor. It's based on threat versus risk.
Okay.
So they did that all over America, and they picked 28 places. Pennsylvania had one, but Philadelphia didn't.
Okay.
Like originally, it was based out of Harrisburg. So what happens is with Pennsylvania Task Force 1 is once the disaster happens, there has to be a disaster declaration. That comes from the state. So the governor has to make that declaration, and it's a level. It's called the Stafford Act, and the Stafford Act basically means you're asking the federal government for assistance. So, and if you've been involved in any kind of disaster response, you quickly exhaust all resources local. Like at the local level, you run out because it is a big disaster and they get absorbed like that. Plus, you're from the area that got hit. So you're not really focused on, if you're a firefighter, you're not really focused on search and rescue. You're not. You're worried about your family. You're worried about, so all that came into play. And, the mechanism to get it going is either a request from, either the president makes a declaration or there's a request from the state, and that's from the governor.
Okay, and what have been your specific roles with Task Force 1?
So when I first got on Pennsylvania Task Force 1, I was a rescue specialist. Okay. And a rescue specialist basically does the actual search and rescue. Like there's many different roles. There's K9 roles. We have search and rescue canines, as well as cadaver canines. You have an EMS component that are not only paramedics but also doctors, and surgeons. And then you have heavy lift, rigging specialists, technical search specialists. Everybody's job may be a little different toward the same goal, to being able to search and rescue. So my original role was rescue specialist. And then I moved up to rescue supervisor and then rescue team manager. And it kind of coincided with the rank I was making in the fire department. When I made battalion chief, I became a task force leader for Pennsylvania Task Force 1. And I also served for up until I came down here in 2018, I also served on one of the nation's 3 incident support teams. And what they do is when multiple task forces are put in service, like 9/11, you had 8 task forces there.
Okay.
Hurricane Katrina, you had like 11 task forces there, or somewhere around that number. Where they need oversight, they need a support team just for all their needs. They have to pick a place where you can that's in an affected area that you can stage 11 task forces. Like, where you gonna put them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when 9/11 happened, they staged us. Are you familiar with New York? There's
Somewhat, yeah.
There's in I think it's in Lower Manhattan. There's a place called the Jacob Javits Center.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they staged us there. We were,
Okay.
all the task forces stayed there. When we were in Hurricane Katrina, we stayed at the New Orleans Saints practice facility.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was part of the Blue IST. It is a red, white, and blue. So I did some time, like, before I came down here, that was my role. I was a liaison officer on the Blue IST. So, I put all that on hold to come down here and work for Adam Thiel.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, definitely you're very well-rounded in terms of the positions you held, special operations. You were in hazmat as well?
So I'm a hazmat, So I have been a hazmat tech, but it's been a long time. I still I still have to get the physicals because I'm still a hazmat tech, but I haven't really practiced that in a long time. But yeah, I'm a hazmat tech and a tech rescue specialist. Yep.
And all of that, I'm sure, serves you well in now being acting fire commissioner.
So it's a great question. So where it serves not me so much, but it really serves the department that I serve. And it's because, it's hard when you've seen a lot from like various angles. Like, for most of my firefighting career, I was in a ladder, and I could care less about being in a company with a hose line because I like ladder work,
Right.
But I was assigned out of fire school to Engine 19. So I know engine work. I know how to put a pump, well, I don't know now if I know how to put a pump in service. But back then I knew how to do that. I knew how to drive and tiller a ladder and put ladders up and raise the main and all that. And with all that behind you, I can look at it from more than one angle. And I think that's beneficiary. It's beneficial. I think that's beneficial to more than just me. It's beneficial to the people who are standing there. And I know when to say, give them a couple more minutes. Hold up, before we do this. Give them a second, because I've been there and needed that second.
Yes.
But it also, you also have to make tough decisions at times to save our folks. Because if nothing else, members of this department love to work and help others.
Yes.
They just do. So, and sometime in your zest to help, we don't want to see you put yourself in harm's way. So there have been events that I've been on that I don't get too excited about it because I've seen a lot, and I've seen the outcome of a lot of that stuff. So it was it's helped, and as I tell people, like young executives in this job at the battalion chief level and above. I try to let them know, listen, all that information and knowledge you have doesn't mean anything if you're not sharing that information and knowledge. It's great that you know everything, but everybody should know everything.
Yeah.
And then that makes us all great.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
And it helps the information to stick, I think, when you're in the process of sharing it.
Yes.
You know, when it's one thing to know it yourself, but when you have to teach it,
Yes, yes.
you're also teaching yourself.
That's exactly right. I try to explain to folks that all information is good information. All information shared is good information because it may not be good for what you need for right then, and it may even seem like it's bad information. But when it's bad information, it's good to get because now you're thinking about the bad side, and you have to look at all sides.
Right.
It's not just the great outcomes.
Right.
Because too many times we've had to deal with the opposite end of that spectrum.
So looking back over you're in the 37th year now. Looking
37th
back
year.
over your career, what have been some of the most memorable moments of your career?
So are you talking about operational, or are you just talking about period?
Period.
Okay, so I guess when I got promoted to lieutenant, you know, I mean, I've been promoted in other ranks, but I think when I got promoted to lieutenant, I think I came out number 10 on the list. But when I got promoted, I never thought I could ever do that. Like I never thought I could. That's why I waited 14 years before I did it. You know, I just didn't. You know, like I told you, I liked what I was doing.
Right.
And I just wanted to be the best at what I was doing.
Right.
So making lieutenant, you know, being asked to serve on the Blue Incident Support Team, and probably being asked by the mayor to be acting commissioner. You know, I have a short window of opportunity, and for her to still ask the question, you know, I thought it was an honor for me to say yes.
And that says something about you as well. Commissioner, I want to thank you once again for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Okay.
Hopefully, we can have you back sometime.
Well, you just make the call, and I'll be back.
All right.
All
And
right.
Congratulations again.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
And I appreciate it.
All right. So, to learn more about the PFD, including fire and life safety information, job opportunities, and how to request free smoke alarms, visit phila.gov/fire. And if you would like to keep up with our show, Freedom from Fire, look for us on Verizon Channel 36, Comcast Channel 56, and LaSalle TV's YouTube page. Also, check out Fireman's Hall Museum, located at 147 North 2nd Street, and meet with our museum curator, firefighter Brian Anderson. I would like to thank Commissioner Craig once again for joining us today. And of course, I would like to thank you for tuning in and watching. So until next time, remember, fire is everyone's fight. Stay safe and remain free from fire.